Welcome back to Molecules Matter with Dr. Dan, the podcast where we explore the tiny molecules that have a massive impact on human health. I'm Dr. Dan Gubler, and today we're talking about two of the most extensively studied nutritional molecules in the scientific literature, EPA and DHA. These two omega-3 fatty acids have been investigated in thousands of scientific studies and have been associated with benefits ranging from cardiovascular health and cognitive function to healthy aging and inflammation regulation. Yet, despite all we know about them, most people still don't fully understand what EPA and DHA actually are, where they come from, or why they are so important. So today, let's dive into the fascinating molecular world of omega-3 fatty acids. What are EPA and DHA? Well, EPA stands for eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA stands for docosahexaenoic acid. I know those names sound intimidating, but don't let them scare you. At their core, EPA and DHA are simply specialized fats. More specifically, they are long-chain omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids. The term omega-3 refers to the location of the first double bond in the fatty acid chain. That small structural difference dramatically changes how these molecules behave inside the human body. Unlike many fats that primarily serve as energy storage molecules, EPA and DHA act as structural and signaling molecules. They become part of the cell membranes. They influence how cells communicate. They help regulate inflammatory pathways. And they support the function of some of the most important tissues in the body, including the brain, eyes, heart, and immune system. And this is a story that begins in the ocean. One of the most interesting things about EPA and DHA is that fish don't actually make them. Many people think salmon, sardines, and mackerel produce omega-3s. They don't. The story begins much lower on the food chain. Tiny marine algae produce EPA and DHA. Small marine organisms eat the algae, small fish eat those organisms, larger fish eat the smaller fish. Eventually, EPA and DHA accumulate in fish tissue. So when we eat salmon, sardines, herring, anchovies, or mackerel, we're essentially obtaining omega-3 fatty acids that originated from microscopic marine plants. This is also why algae-derived omega-3 supplements can provide EPA and DHA without requiring fish. Let's start with the brain. Approximately 60% of the dry weight of the human brain is fat, and DHA is one of the most abundant fatty acids found in brain tissue. In fact, DHA is so important that the body actively concentrates it in the brain. Imagine trying to build a high-performance computer using low-quality components. It might function, but it won't operate at its highest potential. In a similar manner, the membranes surrounding brain cells rely on DHA to maintain flexibility, fluidity, and communication. Scientists have discovered that DHA helps support neuronal membrane fluidity, synaptic communication, neurotransmitter signaling, cognitive performance, and healthy brain aging. Research has shown associations between higher DHA status and improved cognitive function across various stages of life. DHA is especially critical during pregnancy and early childhood because the developing brain accumulates large amounts of this fatty acid. It's one reason healthcare providers often recommend omega-3 intake during pregnancy. EPA is a master communicator, so while DHA often gets attention for its role in the brain, EPA has a unique role of its own. EPA serves as a precursor to a variety of signaling molecules that help regulate inflammatory processes. Now, let's be careful with the word inflammation. Inflammation itself is not bad. It's essential for survival. Without inflammation, cuts wouldn't heal, and infections couldn't be controlled. The problem arises when inflammatory processes become excessive, chronic, or poorly regulated. EPA helps provide raw materials that the body can use to produce compounds that support balanced inflammatory responses. You can think of EPA as helping maintain communication between different parts of the immune system. This is one reason omega-3s have become such a major area of research in cardiovascular health, joint health, and healthy aging. Let's talk about the omega-3 heart connection. If there is one area where omega-3s have received enormous scientific attention, it is cardiovascular health. Researchers have investigated omega-3 fatty acids for decades. Numerous studies have shown that EPA and DHA can help support healthy triglyceride levels, normal blood vessel function, healthy blood pressure, healthy circulation, and overall cardiovascular wellness. One of the most important findings involves triglycerides. Triglycerides are fats that circulate in the bloodstream. Elevated triglycerides are considered a cardiovascular risk factor. EPA and DHA have repeatedly been shown to help reduce triglyceride concentrations. In fact, high-dose prescription omega-3 products have been developed specifically for triglyceride management under physician supervision. But omega-3s do more than affect blood fats. They also become incorporated into the membranes of cardiovascular cells, influencing how those cells function and communicate. Let's now talk about omega-3s and healthy aging. One of the most exciting areas of modern research is healthy aging. Scientists increasingly recognize that aging isn't driven by one single process. Instead, it involves many interconnected biological systems, such as inflammation, oxidative stress, cellular communication, mitochondrial function, and immune regulation. EPA and DHA appear to interact with many of these pathways. Researchers have observed that populations consuming higher amounts of marine omega-3s often exhibit markers associated with healthier aging. While omega-3s are certainly not a fountain of youth, they appear to support several biological systems that become increasingly important as we age. The eyes, an overlooked omega-3 organ. Most people know omega-3s are important for the brain. Fewer realize they are also critical for vision. The retina contains exceptionally high concentrations of DHA. In fact, DHA is one of the major structural fats found in retinal tissue. Photoreceptor cells, which detect light and allow us to see, rely heavily on DHA-rich membranes. Because of this, scientists have extensively studied omega-3s in relation to eye health and visual function. The eye and the brain are closely connected, and DHA serves important structural roles in both. Well, what about mood and well-being? Researchers have also explored omega-3s and mental health. This area remains an active field of investigation. Some studies suggest EPA may play a particularly important role in supporting mood and emotional well-being. Scientists believe this may involve several mechanisms, including effects on inflammatory signaling, neurotransmitter pathways, and cell membrane function. While omega-3s are not a replacement for appropriate medical care, the growing body of research highlights how nutrition and mental well-being are deeply interconnected. The brain is built from molecules, and the molecules we consume influence how the brain functions. Can your body make EPA and DHA? Technically, yes, but not very efficiently. Certain plant foods contain a shorter omega-3 fatty acid called ALA, or alpha-linolenic acid. ALA is found in foods such as flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, and hemp seeds. The body can convert ALA into EPA and DHA. The problem is that the conversion rate is extremely low. Many studies suggest that only a small percentage of ALA ultimately becomes EPA, and even less becomes DHA. This is why direct sources of EPA and DHA are often recommended. Let's talk about the best food sources. The richest dietary sources of EPA and DHA include sardines, salmon, anchovies, herring, mackerel, and trout. Among these options, sardines often stand out as one of the most nutrient-dense choices. And I love sardines. They're amazing because they provide omega-3s along with protein, calcium, vitamin D, selenium, and numerous other nutrients. They're also lower on the food chain, which generally means lower accumulation of environmental contaminants. How much EPA and DHA do you need? This is one of the most common questions I receive. There is no single perfect number for everyone. However, many health organizations recommend consuming fatty fish at least twice per week. And I would up that. I would try to do it every single day, if you can, in some form to get omega-3 into your body. For individuals who do not regularly eat fish, omega-3 supplementation is often considered. Typical supplemental intakes frequently range from about 500 milligrams to 2,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily, depending on individual goals and healthcare guidance. For general wellness, many experts aim for approximately 500 to 1,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA per day. As always, discuss higher doses with your healthcare provider, particularly if you take medications or have underlying medical conditions. What should you look for in a supplement? Well, not all omega-3 supplements are created equal. When evaluating a supplement, consider purity, third-party testing, freshness, oxidation levels, and EPA and DHA content. Many products advertise large amounts of fish oil while containing relatively small amounts of actual EPA and DHA. Always read the supplement facts panel carefully, and the EPA and DHA numbers matter more than the total fish oil number. That said, though, if you want just overall general health, you don't need to take an EPA and DHA concentrated supplement. Taking a soft gel that provides a broad spectrum range of omega-3 fatty acids, where it's similar to eating a salmon fillet, is also a great and powerful option. So let's talk about the big picture. If you've listened to this podcast for a while, you've probably noticed a recurring theme. Health is often about communication. Cells communicate with cells, organs communicate with other organs, genes communicating with proteins. EPA and DHA fit beautifully into that concept because these remarkable molecules don't simply provide calories. They become part of our cellular infrastructure. They help shape cell membranes. They influence signaling pathways. And one of the ways that they do that is EPA and DHA are actually prodrugs because they are the starting precursors to create other molecules in the body called specialized pro-resolving mediators, or SPMs, which we'll talk about in another episode. So EPA and DHA help shape cell membranes, influence signaling pathways. They support the brain, heart, eyes, and immune system. They participate in the molecular conversations that allow the body to function properly. And perhaps that's what makes EPA and DHA so fascinating. They're not just nutrients, they're information, carrying molecules that help coordinate the incredible biological symphony occurring inside your body every second of every day. The next time you eat a serving of salmon, enjoy a can of sardines, or take an omega-3 supplement, remember that you're doing far more than consuming fat. You're providing your body with some of the most biologically important molecules found in nature. Molecules that support healthy cellular communication, molecules that help build and maintain the brain, molecules that support cardiovascular wellness, molecules that contribute to healthy aging, because when it comes to health, molecules matter. Thanks for listening to Molecules Matter with Dr. Dan. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with someone who wants to better understand the science behind nutrition and health. Until next time, stay curious, stay healthy, and remember, molecules matter.